you're gonna have to adjust your chain. Alright guys, today I'm going to show you a very important maintenance interval that you need to do to your bike every 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 miles or so. I'd recommend doing it more because apparently this has gotten way out of slack. You're going to have to adjust your chain. And always on the chain guard, it's going to tell you the range. This one is 0.8 inches to 1.2 inches range. And you could just eyeball it and know that's way out of slack. And so what we're going to do is we're going to just tighten it up. And so first of all, what you need is a measuring tape to see the before and after. You're going to need a 12 and 14 for this particular motorcycle. You need a 12 and 14 millimeter wrench. You're going to need a big 27 millimeter wrench. It says so right here on the cap. And on the other side is a 21 millimeter wrench. And you're just going to take this axle nut off. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to measure how out of slack the chain is, or if it's in spec, then you're good. So we lift it all the way up, and that's where I'm going to start the chain, and wherever it droops down is how much slack we have. And as you can see, we have about 2 inches of slack, close to it, maybe a little bit less. Oh, now we do that, yeah. But you could tell that's way out of slack, because, like I said, 1.2 inches is the maximum for this. And you're going to want to measure it in about the middle of the chain. And so I'm kind of surprised it's that far out of slack, because 2,000 miles ago I tightened it up, got it within spec. But let's go. First thing I did was I put the bike in gear and I pushed it forward so the bottom is pretty slack and the top is relatively tight. So because we're measuring on the bottom. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to take this cotter pin out with some vice grips, and you just bend this out and then you pull it out, and we're going to loosen up the axle nut. You don't have to take it all the way out, just get it to where it's loose. Next you're going to take your 27 millimeter wrench and you're just going to loosen this up. Now it's supposed to be torqued to 80 pounds, but when I had it, it was way tighter than that. And so you just loosen it up. You might need a wrench on the other side. And actually Kawasaki has a nice tool set that has axle nut wrenches inside. And it has, oh, and the other thing too is take pictures of each side, because this gauge here has little hash marks, and that'll tell you how tight you need to make it, or where it was before. So before it was on this second hash mark dead on, we're going to want it a little bit back. So anyway, now that the axle nut's loose, you don't need to make it completely, take it completely off. You take your 12 millimeter nut and you're going to loosen up the jam nut, but don't move this 14 millimeter adjuster nut. So you're just going to loosen up the jam nut and back it off, and do the exact same thing on the other side. But don't move this second nut yet. Now if I can get a good angle on this, I just did it on the other side. You're going to want to tighten this up. So righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, right? So you start from the bottom here. And I'm going to count each half a turn. On the other side I did 4 half turns. And then we're just going to check our progress, because you want it dead even on each side. Alright, and now let's check that gauge, see if it moved at all. Well, you're not really going to know for sure. As you can see, it moved maybe about an eighth or so of the hash mark length. And it's definitely tighter. So let's rock the bike back and forth. and loosen up the chain, and so we'll see about where it is. But don't tighten up the axle nut just yet. All right, let's see where it is now. Let's see, it's supposed to be 1.25, so let's start there. And let's see if it goes to the top of the measuring tape. Oh, a little bit less. So that's at the top of the measuring tape. And I'd say we got about 3/4 of an inch. But remember, the spec was 0.8 to 1.2, so we could actually be able to get away with loosening up a little bit more. And I tightened each one a half a turn, and that actually made all the difference. Now it's right in spec, 0.8. It's going to loosen up a little bit over time. So that's how you tighten up your chain, but you're going to have to tighten up your axle nut now, put a cotter pin back in, and put this dust cap back on.